Welcome to the Wealth Exec. Let's reach your goals together. I'm Carrie Amaro, and I created this platform as a way to help people on a grander scale, using my 15 plus years as a controller CFO to help CEOs, business owners, executives, anyone in an organization who's just interested in learning more. I hope that you're enjoying the 12 Business Days to the New Year series. If you have missed any of the episodes, feel free to scroll down on the platform that you're on or visit my website at thewealthexec.com. There are also a lot of free materials that you can pick up, workbooks that will help you go through the things that we've been discussing in all of these episodes. Now, let's get to it. Today, we are doing part 2 of day 7, which had to do with it is okay to be assertive. And what does that mean? We talk about this in the context of emotional intelligence and dealing with things in a constructive format. In our last session, we talked about things like being self-aware, awareness of others, and our actions. There was a quote that I recently read by Albert Ellis that said being assertive doesn't mean attacking or ignoring others' feelings. It means that you're willing to hold up yourself fairly as well. Remember, assertiveness is not the same thing as being aggressive. Being assertive is your ability to express your feelings, your beliefs, your thoughts, and defend what you feel in a non-destructive way. Effectively and constructively expressing your emotions in order to be upfront and honest with your views, whereas aggression is something totally different. Being hostile and taking advantage of people's feelings and bullying and creating a damaging relationship. If you're interacting with someone who is belittling you or reducing your self-esteem, then that person is unfortunately someone you should possibly think about not being around. That is not being assertive. That is being aggressive and not respecting the other person simply as a human being. Now, this can go for the professional world. This can go for your personal world. That is why it's such an important topic to talk about, especially now in the midst of COVID and people being so under stressed. Now, when you go through the workbook and you go through the exercises of aggression and assertiveness and passive personality, trying to figure out where you land, all of us have those traits of being assertive or aggressive or passive. What I would like you to do is in the workbook, work through which ones best describe you and why. In the process of doing this, don't be surprised if you find yourself being disappointed at the way that you've responded to situations. The good part of this is that it's fixable. It's something that starting at this second in time, you can go and you can say, okay, I'm going to work on this one specific reaction that I have. I'm going to work on the fact that I don't like to treat people this way. And that's what this workbook will help you do. These workbooks from days 7 and 8 work with your ability to understand yourself, understand others, and build action steps for yourself, your communication with anyone else, whether it's your family or in the workplace. Now, I must warn you, as you go through this process, be warned that you may start developing an accusatory pattern when you're talking to the people that you feel have quote unquote wronged you. I don't want you to do that because there's an ability where you can take words and create them into being assertive versus accusing. So instead of, for example, you telling someone that they're demeaning you and they're being mean, you can say, I want to be treated with respect. Or instead of you lashing out at them and saying, I wish you wouldn't be so annoying and loud, you can say, I have a hard time focusing on our conversation. There's ways that you can go about constructively maneuver a conversation that you're going to have. Listen, at the end of the day, we control how we treat people. We control how successful we are in our interactions with people. And our interactions with people on a day-to-day will impact our profitability and even the sustainability of our own organizations. What I would recommend that you do is go through the exercises in these work and even forward them along to your family, your friends, your coworkers. That way, they can also work on how their communication style has been. I want assertiveness. I don't want aggression. One thing about myself as a controller, I've always advocated and I've always pushed my employees to speak up, to voice their concerns, to voice what they're going through, what recommendations they have. That's not aggression. I've done that with my children. I recall a time that I think my kids were 5 to 7 years old. And one day I came home, I had a stressful day. I came home and I stayed quiet. I didn't want to blow up. And then one of my kids did just like one little thing. And I said, "Oh, why are you doing that?" And I got upset. And my daughter looked at me and she said, "Mom, you're not upset with us. You're upset with your day." And I was mind blown. And I said, she's right. And what that did was that triggered me, especially in the workplace. If I was having, let's say, a crazy day and I'm, let's say, talking to someone and I know that they're not in the right mindset as well, I will tell them, listen, this is a stressful morning for me. Let's kind of break this down. What do you need? Let's work on the time that you need to talk to me about this. Let's work on our priorities. Or even with my boss or my customer, I would let them know I'm feeling burnt out, I'm feeling overwhelmed, because that way, hopefully, you are able to develop action steps to proactively reduce your stress levels. Now, when you think of your interactions with others, there's not always a happy ending. You are going to run into people who their ways of treating others is something that you can't respect. For instance, I have a very huge issue with bullies. I have a very huge issue with people who want to demean others, with people who want to intentionally damage another person's self-esteem. I have a huge issue with that. So for me, I become very, you can call it being a big sister or a mom. I don't like it, and I will go and I will defend the person who is being mistreated. Now, that sometimes is not productive for your role. For instance, if I'm in a work environment where I'm surrounded by someone who has these traits, I will try my hardest to stay away from them, even if it's making them feel like I don't like them. That's probably not the right thing to do, but that is what I do. I know for myself that working closely with someone like that isn't a productive thing, so I eliminate it from my world if I can. And if I can't, it eventually eliminates itself. But remember, everyone has their respective ways of being. You cannot control other people's responses or behaviors. You can just control how you decide to respond to something and if you decide to stay in that situation. We all have a lot to learn. That's the beauty of living. And that's the beauty of a new day. Please feel free to share these resources. I'm so excited to share this information with you. We have a lot of exciting things coming up. Stay tuned to hear of workshops that we'll be holding, private groups that we will be introducing, especially in the new year, resources that we're going to be providing. Our podcast is going to shortly be on iTunes and Spotify. Our video blogs are coming. I'm so excited to be working with you. This is the Wealth Exec. Let's reach your goals together.